Might raise you guys up a little bit and hope you don't fall over. Woo. Good morning. Welcome to Princess Cruises FAQ Live. I was like, let's just do frequently asked questions for today. I do have some other things I want to talk about in depth and stuff, but I'm like, let's just do a quick FAQ. If you're new here, I'm Michelle. I'm a travel agent that specializes in Princess Cruises. I just love Princess so much. It's been a road to figure out like what I want to do with my business, and then in the end I'm like, I only want to sell Princess. So that's what I specialize in. I've done lots of training in Princess. I am like a Princess super fan. So if you have Princess Cruise questions and you're watching this after the fact, post them in the comments. I did a poll because I was doing these lives inconsistently because I was doing them as more news things, but I was not consistent with doing them. And I'm like, I want to get consistent where I'm doing a live one day a week consistently at the same day, same time. And so I put a poll on, and the consensus was Saturdays. So Saturday at 8 a.m. Mountain, which is 10 a.m. Eastern. And this is just I just feed my daughter who loudly stims while I do lives. So yeah, so hopefully you guys find these helpful. I have a list of questions that I pulled from like my Facebook group and like common questions I get in the comments to kind of have like just a general like Q&A kind of answering thing. So anyway, welcome. You gonna eat more? So the first question is about tipping. So like what currency should you be tipping in? And so this kind of depends on where you are traveling. For the most part, on the ship, you are going to tip in either US dollars or euros, because the US dollar is probably the most flexible currency to tip in for staff, like crew members on the ship, because usually most ships will end up back in the States. So like if they're in Australia and Japan, they'll usually end up back in like Alaska for the other seasons, and then if they're in like Mediterranean, they'll end up in the United States for like Caribbean. So US is kind of the more universal one. When we did Norway, we tipped in US. We will probably for Mediterranean tip in euros just because we will be getting more euros. So like try to tip in like the local-ish currency based out, like if you are doing a Japan cruise, totally do it in Japanese, is it yen? Do it in Japanese yen, because then the crew can use that while they're off on the ship. Otherwise, like US dollars, if they're sending it home and stuff like that, US dollars is more universal. Depending on where you are sailing, the currency for the ship is usually either US dollars, euro, or Australian dollars. So kind of depending on where you're cruising. I have notes. So if you see me looking down, that's where I'm looking. If you are doing excursions, you want to do it in local currency. These are not people who have access necessarily to be able to convert stuff easily. So you kind of want to do it in local currency. So depending on where you are excursioning, like some places like Norway, they don't want you tipping. Like that is not, they consider it offensive. They pay their people very well, so they don't ask for tips. They don't expect tips, anything like that. So we didn't tip off the ship at all. But in like the Caribbean, Mexico, they all very much expect tips. And so if you're in like Mexico or Caribbean, US dollars is fine. But like Mediterranean, we are bringing euros to be tipping in euros there. A tip is to make sure that you have crisp bills, like new bills, because a lot of foreign banks won't, and this is in general if you're traveling with money, like we tend to use credit cards while traveling. We like the security of it. There's some ports like that you'll need smaller currency in order to buy like little souvenirs and stuff, but we tend to we don't shop very much. So for us, you want to make sure that your bills are new and crisp, because like if you are tipping with like ripped up $5 US, they're going to be like they have no use for that because their bank might not cash it. So best to have the newest, crispest, try not to have too many folds in it, that kind of stuff. Like we fold our money, but like it's still like pretty like good. So yeah, so I am eventually gonna have a tipping guide on my website, but I haven't got around to it. So my website is like a work in progress very much, because most of my stuff, like I'm a full-time teacher, I'm a full-time mom outside of teaching, and then I run my travel agent business, and then I do YouTube as well. So the website part is kind of gets left to the side because there's only so many hours in a day. Anyway, in your mouth. Plus or Premier package, which should I get? For me personally, we get no package, but that is not what I recommend for most people, because most people will take advantage of what the package offers. I think Princess has like the best packages, like for their value. Like they have such good value. If you want, the difference between them is 30 US per person per day. If you are wanting specialty dining, then Premier makes so much sense, because you get unlimited specialty dining now, but you need to be using it, because that 30 US per person per day, if you're not drinking more expensive alcohol, like the top shelf alcohol, and you're not taking advantage of stuff like the photos, like doing a ton of photos, you're just not really gonna get as much of a benefit. But if you're doing specialty dining, that's where the benefit comes, in my opinion, because that's where Princess raised their price. It used to be $80 per day, and you only got 2 specialty dining, whereas now they made it unlimited for that extra $10, and I think that's totally worth it. So definitely, if you're gonna do specialty dining multiple nights, like now with the Premier package, I know lots of people that get the Premier package and they never eat in the main dining room. They eat in a specialty dining room every night because they can, it's unlimited. So if you are really into specialty dining, I highly recommend the Premier package. Otherwise, for most people, the Plus package is fine. The other way the biggest difference for some people is if they have multiple devices. So if you are looking to have your laptop and your phone and using both on the internet at the same time, the Premier package is the better option, because you can have up to 4 devices at the same time. But if you're like most people and you just have your phone or your tablet and you're like just using one device at a time, the Plus package is more than enough, having one device. So yeah. The best room for a first-time cruise. So yeah, so I'm gonna do a whole video on this, on how to choose the best stateroom, and that will be like a proper sit-down video, not the nonsense that is my lives. But I used to think interiors were the best. I was like, everyone should just book an interior. It's cheapest. You're never in you're in your room anyway. You're on the ship. Like, just that's what kind of my opinion was until I became a travel agent. And I saw like most people don't want an interior, or they'll sail in an interior, then they're sailing a balcony, and they'll never sail interior again. Most people don't want interiors. If you are like, I want just to get on a ship, I want to be the cheapest. I don't really care about anything. I know I don't get motion sick. I know I don't need windows. You gotta kind of know yourself. I rarely book interiors anymore. Like, I book them during my group cruises, but beyond that, and those are usually repeat clients. But in terms of like new clients, I don't book interiors anymore, because it's not what people want. Like, you might think you want an interior, and then you have the experience of a balcony and you're like, oh, I really like having my morning coffee out on the balcony. I loved Glacier Day where I could sit there and see the glaciers. Yeah, so balcony, definitely. The video that I'm gonna go more in depth about like location and stuff like that for that. But yeah, so subscribe, I can't talk, subscribe so you don't miss that video. But balcony with the Plus package is kind of the minimum that I recommend. I just think that the Plus package has great value for what you get. Most people aren't like us. I only drink water and free things like tea. Let me know in the comments if you're a team tea or team coffee. I can't have coffee, I need decaf, and then I put like 20 pounds of sugar in it. So I try to stick more towards tea. But yeah, if you're most people that drink soda or specialty coffee, oh, my daughter is just tooting up a storm over there. If you drink any kind of alcohol, if you like cocktails, mocktails, anything like that, Powerade, Gatorade, like those types of drinks, anything like that, you want to get the Plus package. If you want internet, Plus package. Like the Plus package, so the basics is internet, gratuities, and drinks up to $15 are included. So yeah, plus with the balcony is kind of my like bare minimum that I think people should be booking. Do I need a passport? Yes. If you are doing a closed loop cruise from the US to the US and you are a United States citizen, and like there's a whole bunch of like restrictions, you can technically cruise with just your birth certificate. I do not recommend it. If something happens and you have to fly home, you cannot fly home on your birth certificate. Get your passport. It's so much easier. There's also some stuff with the whole like real ID. I'm Canadian and 99% of my clients are from Canada. But the real ID stuff like that, it's not worth it. Just get a passport. Just get a passport, because there's just so many restrictions on what you can and cannot do without having that passport. It's not worth it. Get your passports. I don't know the US, but like Canada, we have 10-year passports. You have to have a passport to cruise from Canada, in Canada. So, but yeah, just get your passport. It's not worth it to deal with that nonsense. When should I fly in for my cruise? Comment down below where your nearest airport is. I used to have just like a 1 day early, that's fine. Just fly in 1 day early. But with like our last most of our cruises, actually, now that I'm like going in my head, when was the last time we didn't have a flight delay? I think actually Christmas time last year. My daughter and I flew to LA and there was no delay. But almost always there's some sort of delay. So like minimum a day early. Most of the time now I'm recommending 2 days early. And 2 days for sure if you are flying internationally. So like we are going to Mediterranean. We were planning on flying in the day before, but only because our ship doesn't leave that day. Like the next day, the ship actually leaves the day after we board, and then we're in Turkey for 1 extra day. So we were originally going to do that, and technically we're flying to Turkey on that day, but flights internationally are ridiculous and expensive. So we're actually flying to Barcelona, spending 2 nights in Barcelona, and then flying to Turkey the day before our cruise. But like Norway, we flew in 2 days early. I highly recommend 2 days early if you are international, which usually means leaving 3 days in advance if you are coming from North America, because it's going to take you a day of just flying. So yeah, you want to make sure like if your cruise is leaving, for instance, on the 19th, you need to be on a flight on the 17th to land there on the 18th. To cruise on the 19th, you don't want to be doing that close. So you actually want to be flying on, hold on. So you want to be landing on the 17th. So you want to leave on the 16th. So that way you have the 2 nights instead. So it's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, you're leaving 3 days in advance. But that's something with international travel, especially if you have layovers, you have to calculate that. You need to make sure you have long enough layovers. Like if you have a domestic layover, you probably want at least 90 minutes. If you have an international layover where you are needing to go through customs, you want like 3 to 5 hours. So for instance, if you're in, say, like I'm trying to think of like a not Canadian example, because like I know a lot of you guys are from the US. Say you're flying home and you live in California, you're landing, your home airport is LAX. You land in, say, New York, you're flying from London to New York, and your layover's in New York, and then you're flying New York to LA. So your connecting flight is going from an international to a domestic. You will do immigration in New York, so you need to be prepared for a long wait and having a long layover. You don't want it to be like super fast. If you are in Canada and you are going to the United States and you have a layover, so I have a group cruise coming up. I have a bunch of people coming from Toronto. If you're going direct from Toronto to LA, not a problem. You'll go through customs in Toronto. But I do have some people going to, good day, Larry, welcome. I have some clients going from Toronto to Edmonton, and then Edmonton to LA. And so they will do customs for the US in Edmonton. So you kind of need to prepare to have those longer layovers. So anytime you're doing international, you want to do 2 days in advance. And international, I mean like overseas. Like us Canadians going to the US, that's not like, for me to go to LA, it's a 3-hour flight. Like it's shorter for me to go to LA than it is to go to, say, Toronto. So you want to have if you have any layovers, you probably want to fly in 2 days in advance. There's just been so many delays and so much like chaos. And even for instance, like we landed for our Christmas cruise, we didn't have a choice. I couldn't get time off. Like it was just kind of like a mess. I would rather have flown in 2 days in advance. We couldn't. We landed and it was like really late when we got to the airport. Our shuttle for the hotel was already like gone. So then we got to the hotel at like after midnight, and then we had to get up the next day to board the cruise. I would rather have it an extra day. Also, if you live in a climate that has snow, if you are in a time when it is going to snow, you need 2 days in advance. That's what we did for LA when we went at Christmas time. And yeah, sure, we had no delays. Like I said, that was the one cruise that we recently did not have any delays, which usually even in summertime we'll have delays for like lightning and stuff like that, but we had no delays, which was nice. And then we just had an extra day in the port. I know it's an extra cost, but to me that's the cost of having insurance, to know that I am going to get there and not miss my ship. Because like, yes, if you book your flights through Princess, which is the only type of flights that I book for clients, I won't book them directly with the airline because I like that Princess guarantee. But for instance, like I have a group going to Hawaii and they were originally planning on flying in the day of, because the timing, they're going from Toronto, so they're gaining hours as they go out to San Francisco. They have no layover, it's a straight direct flight. So they're like, we're just flying the day of. I'm like, okay, if you want to do that, that's on you. But imagine this, your flight is delayed or canceled, you miss your ship. Your next 5 days are at sea. So yes, Princess will get you to Hawaii to meet up with your ship, but you just missed the first 5 days of your cruise doing that because you didn't want to pay to fly in the day before. So yeah, I convinced them to fly. Like it's one of those things where it's like, if you're a port heavy cruise and you're like, okay, whatever, like with us with Mediterranean, it's like, okay, if we miss our ship, we're just gonna fly in. The ship is there one more night in our case. But even if we didn't, it's like, okay, we'd just be flying to like, I don't know, I think Greece is like our first stop. So like we wouldn't even probably miss a port. So stuff like that. But it's like, you don't want to miss any of your cruise, and you also don't want that stress and headache of missing your ship. You just don't want it. It's not worth it. So yeah, so fly in the day before, if it is a shorter, non-stop, domestic-ish flight. So like I said, even like Toronto to LA, if it's not a layover. But if you're doing international, if it's bad weather season, so even like hurricane season for you guys in the US, anything that might like be causing more delays than usual, you want to be able to make sure you don't miss your ship. How do you buy stuff on the cruise? So this is a common first-time cruiser question that I often forget. For those like experienced cruisers, we're just like, just like we understand the onboard account stuff. But for first-time cruisers, it's like, what currency do I bring to buy stuff? Like if I'm going to the shop on the cruise, what do they take? Debit? Do they take credit card? Do they take cash? And it's all on board. So if you are on board the ship and you go to a shop or a bar or anything, everything is cashless. So with Princess, you have your medallion. You don't have any, like other cruise lines, you have your SeaPass card. You don't have anything. When you check in, you should be giving a credit card. If for some reason you don't have a credit card, then you can pay cash, but you don't want to pay cash. It's such a nightmare because before you're done your cruise, you have to go to guest services and pay your cash. Long lines, nonsense. You don't want to do that. Just use your credit card. If you don't have a credit card and you only have a debit card, that's kind of the exception where I think like don't use your debit card, use cash, because they will put a hold of like say $100, $150 on your card. And for your credit card, that's usually not an issue and it comes off fairly quickly. But if it's on your debit card, that's holding up your actual cash, and like it takes time to come off. So like you might not want to do that. But if you have a credit card on file, but you still want to pay down some of it, like I have a client that has onboard credit, like gift certificates, and so during her cruise, she'll just go to guest services and apply that money to her account, which will then at the end of the cruise mean that she has less money coming off her credit card. Currency on board depends on where you sail, but usually US dollars is kind of the default. I don't know that I've ever been on a cruise that was not US dollars. But we'll see with Mediterranean. Norway was US dollars. but maybe Mediterranean will switch to euros. I can't remember what I've heard about Australia, but most of the time they're US dollars, but Australia might end up being Australian dollars, but I can't remember. Do I have to eat in the MDR? Do I have to eat in the main dining room? Like, is that where we eat every night? And that's up to you. You can eat anywhere you want, and you have like the buffet, international cafe, you have specialty dining, you have casual dining, you have so many dining options. You can get room service / Ocean Now delivery. I didn't find I'm vegan, vegetarian, and I found that the supper options at the buffet were not super great, so I often just ordered veggie burger to me. Reservations, you don't need to book your reservations in advance if you don't want to. I talked about it in the Dine Line Live, but there's 3 dining rooms. One is for walk-ins, one is for reservations, and one is for traditional dining where you have set dining time at the same time every night. That's all done through the app. It's something that I offer for clients. I will book reservations for you, especially for groups. It's honestly easier to book through a travel agent for anything with groups. If you have 5 or more rooms, there's perks like onboard credits, anything like that. So if you're doing a family reunion, if you're doing a wedding, if you're doing even just like celebrating a birthday, or did I go down the wrong hole? A birthday or anniversary or retirement, anything like that, and you're doing it with more than 5 rooms, links are in the description to hire me, because like the dining reservations and organizing all that, unless you're an experienced cruiser and you know all the things that can be that like lead person, it's much easier to have the travel agent be the lead person. And I do groups quite frequently. I host my own groups. So if you're interested, Mexico, there's still some rooms I think left on the ship. I don't have any group rates or group rooms left. I can still get group rates, but it's whatever rooms are available at the time of booking. Alaska 2026 is my main group that I'm open now. I have 2 group rooms held still. So if you're interested in going to Alaska in July 7th to 14th, 2026. But yeah, I host group cruises. Where I escort, I'm on the ship, and then I do I just sell group cruises too. So they're actually my favorite. I love having just like that camaraderie of being like, you guys are all cruising together. It's so exciting. Anyway, internet. Is internet included? No. A lot of people don't understand that. I think especially if people have done all-inclusives before and they're like, wait, I have to pay for drinks, I have to pay for internet. Yes. Yeah. Internet on the ship will never be as good as on land. And that's where if you need internet, I highly recommend just getting the Plus package, because it includes so much more plus the internet. So you do have to pay for internet. I want to say it's like $20 a day-ish US, something around there. But they've also switched it that you get faster internet if you do the Plus or Premier package compared to the standard package, and then booking the internet on its own. I don't know if you can hear the train, but the train's coming now. Yeah, if you're not part of the Facebook group, I have a Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/traveling beyond boundaries. I post tips, tricks, advice, destinations, specials, all that kind of stuff. I kind of do like a little sampling in if you're subscribed and you see like my community tab, all the community posts, I kind of post like a few things from the group in there, but you get way more in the group. So if you're on Facebook, go check that out. Do you have to pay for babysitting? So Princess does not offer babysitting. Some other cruise lines like Royal Caribbean, I believe Disney, you could actually hire like a sitter for like babies. Princess does not offer that. They're just not like a major family cruise line. Are you gonna eat that? No. But there are kids clubs for ages 3 and up. So your child has to be toilet trained. They have to be like behavior challenges and stuff like that. They don't have one-on-one support. They don't have anything like that. So my daughter does not go to those. She has Down syndrome, autism. She's not toilet trained. Doesn't matter how old she is. She can't go. But the difference I like is Princess has allowed us to use that room for the playground while we supervise her, or do the activities and stuff like that with us supervising. Whereas another cruise line was like, nope, you cannot enter here without, like, with her. So I'm grateful for Princess for doing that, but you don't have to pay for the kids clubs. The kids clubs are completely included in your cruise fare. It's really nice. They have scheduled activities every day. your kids can go off, have fun, and you guys can have like a little break. So check out the Kids Club the first day when you get on the ship. There's usually a schedule for when they're doing their registration. So you want to go when you want to register your kids. You want to check out the schedules and all that. I'm going to eventually get that on my website of having like kind of like we picked up the schedules. And so like what some of the activities are, but there's often like arts and crafts and games and movies and just like fun things for your kids to kind of like play with other kids, meet new people. There's teen clubs. There's I think they go up to like 17. So there's and they're different groups. So it's not like the 3-year-olds are with the 17-year-olds. It's like different areas and stuff. So yeah. Do I have to get off the ship? So this is kind of like ship day stuff that people often question. Do I have to get off the ship? No, you don't. Our Mexico cruise, I'm actually choosing to stay on the ship for the whole cruise because we've been to those ports before, and because I'm escorting a group, I'd rather be available for those people during the day. So I will be staying on the ship. You do not have to get off the ship if you don't feel like it. I recommend at least getting off the ship if it's a new place you've never been to before. Get off the ship, walk around the port area. Like Caribbean, a lot of the ports have like a little shopping area. If you're in Europe, just get off, walk around town. Obviously know where is safe, where is not safe. You don't want to just like go randomly. Can I get off the ship without ship excursions? Yes, again, you can get off. Just make sure you get back on time. And if you're doing a private excursion, make sure that it's vetted. Like don't just Google like, hey, what's an excursion to do in Jamaica? Like try to go through like Shore Excursions group. That's the other one that I recommend because they do have a return to ship guarantee and they vet all their excursions. So yeah, go through them if you're not going to go through Princess. Otherwise, sometimes in the port areas, there's also like people when you get off the ship that are selling tours. If it is within the ship security area, go for it. If it's outside of the security area, I personally wouldn't. You can also go and get a taxi that is at the ship area, and sometimes they can do like some tours. But a lot of ports will have tour guides, like private excursions, right in the security area. And so sometimes, especially if you're doing a group, it might be a cheaper option. But honestly, I prefer the Princess excursions. And then we're considering some of the Shore excursion groups. But otherwise, for the most part, we just get off the ship and walk around. For Europe, we really like the hop on and off buses. My daughter has mobility issues, and our upcoming Mediterranean cruise, we might be traveling with a wheelchair for her. Go funding in Alberta, who won't fund accessible strollers, but will only fund pediatric wheelchairs. Anyway, that's the story. That's my other channel, and I'm complaining on another channel. So it makes it very challenging to do excursions with her because of her mobility issues. So for a lot of Europe, we will be doing hop on and off buses because they are accessible. We can roll her wheelchair right on it, no problems at all. So if you have mobility issues, I recommend doing your excursions through Princess because Princess does offer wheelchair accessible excursions. They also offer the easy excursions. I love those. Those are often bus excursions, or like we're doing the Easy Pompeii excursion, which means that we are taking the wheelchair path. Yes, they're still walking, but it's a slower pace. It's meant for people with walkers and mobility issues. Whereas if you don't book those, even if you book an easy excursion, like it says easy, it might not be easy. You really need to dive deep into the description and read how long are you walking? Are there stairs? That's our big thing, because if we have her in any sort of device, we can't do stairs. So, how would I search on a cruise line out of a country? Like, are you looking... Like you're looking to have it go out from a certain port, because Princess there's like the filters, you can select which port you want to leave from. So if you're like, oh, I really want to leave from Rome, you can go and in the Princess filter search, you can go, oh, I want the port to be Rome. Sometimes that's the ending port, sometimes that's the starting point, but you can kind of then see, and Princess will have like, underneath, and this was something I really like with Princess compared to other cruise lines, where it actually will tell you where it's going to and from, whereas often with like Royal, you have to dig a little deeper to see the embarkation and disembarkation port, but the filtering system on the Princess website is very good. Like I love it. So like even when I am researching for cruises for clients, I usually use the consumer website to kind of figure out filtering stuff out, because it's much easier to use than the travel agent portal. The travel agent portal is more like you know what you want and you can go through and book it. It's not really great for searching. So yeah, so the hop on off buses are great. The excursions through Princess, like the easy excursions, are great if you have mobility issues. If you have like a walker, you usually with the easy excursions do have to be able to get on and off a bus. So if you are wheelchair bound and you cannot transfer at all, you will need to book the actual accessible excursions. You won't be able to use that as an option. But the hop on and off buses, if you can get yourself to the hop on and off bus starting location, those are accessible. And the last thing I have here is, do I need to bring towels? No, unless you are like picky and you want like certain luxury towels, don't waste space. We're doing carry-on only for our next 2 cruises for me and my daughter. So my brother's bringing a bigger suitcase for just him, but me and my daughter will just have a carry-on. Don't bring towels. Do you need to bring pool towels? Nope, Princess has them. Princess will let you take them off the ship for excursions and stuff. Do you need to bring shampoo and conditioner? Depends on your hair. My hair is 99% of the time a mess, and same with my daughter's. So there's like a shampoo and conditioner in one, and then there's a body wash. So if you have like special conditioner, special shampoo, that you like have a quality standard that you're like, no, I need to have a high quality shampoo, a high quality conditioner. I have a certain body wash because my skin is so dry. My skin is endlessly dry. Stuff like that, then bring your own. Bring them in small bottles. Don't bring like the giant bottle. And remember that if you're bringing it as carry-on, it needs to fit under the liquids rule. Hair dryers, you don't need to bring hair dryers. You cannot bring like curling irons, straight irons, all those hair things that I clearly don't use. You can't bring anything that's heat. You can't bring an iron. Do not bring an iron. Princess, I love Princess because they have laundry rooms that have irons, ironing boards. You can also pay to have your stuff pressed. But anything that might cause a fire is like, nope, don't even think of bringing it. Extension cables, power bars that have, what do you call it? I lost the name. Surge protector. Surge protector, not allowed. Getting a power bar that does not have a surge protector. We like the Cruise On adapters. They work out great. They have lots of USB ports and stuff like that. So get yourself one of those. But anyway, if you have anything that you're like, hey, can you please do a video on, let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, do all the YouTube things, like, subscribe, join our Facebook group, do a super thanks, super chat, any of those. They help us fund all our content, allow us to make more content. And if you're interested in cruising and you're in Canada or the United States and not in Quebec, Hawaii, California, Washington, Iowa, I feel like there's another one, Florida, come and join me either on a cruise that I'm escorting, or I can book you in, and I have free consultations to discuss that kind of stuff. So anyway, more information if you want to get to know me better is in my Facebook group, and I will see you guys next week. I'm going to try to do these every Saturday at 8 a.m. So yes, come join us. It might not always be on time. I'm never on time. Anyway, thanks so much. Bye, guys.